Okay, good morning. Elle Ingalls here at pressure-free.com. I have a very sensitive nose, and like many Michiganders this morning and others all the way across to New York, um, there's some smoke in the air. I'm so sensitive that when I was a little girl, if I smelled like cigarette smoke or campfire smoke, I now realize I would trigger fight or flight. Like I really would. And I know a lot of people here. I mean, it's whatever day the smoke started for you, or if you're in Canada, and you have that smell, it can so easily cause us to trigger fight or flight because it's burning and there's fears about can I breathe? And of course, that's life, right? That's we need to be able to breathe to live. Plus all the small particles, like the small particles getting into our lungs. There's just like so much piling on that can happen in our minds. So that's what I want to talk about this morning, both in terms of physical smoke, but also the idea of just smoke in the air, meaning we encounter somebody saying something, or have you ever walked into a room and there's just tension in the air? That kind of smoke in the air can do the same thing to us. One of the things that happens, not for everyone, but for a lot of people, when they trigger fight or flight, their air passages actually close. If you've ever heard of stress-induced asthma, the hormones actually cause our this area of us to tighten. And that's on purpose because this is a very vulnerable place. If you ever take a self-defense course, Joel Snyder, his amazing self-defense coach, his parents, like were on the east side of Michigan, the people for self-defense. Well, I worked with Joel a little bit. He's also a musician. If you're in Grand Rapids, he's taking over a choir here. Joel's just a phenomenal human. And he was saying, if you go here, this can be the death blow to your opponent because this is just so vulnerable and it doesn't take much to actually cause damage here. So in fight or flight, we tighten these muscles, our abs, our pec muscles, our throat muscles. We tighten all of this to protect ourselves from whatever attack is coming toward us. That's the purpose of fight or flight, to protect ourselves from a physical attack. And our body goes through all kinds of things to do that, including this tightening. We need to tighten the front of our body to protect ourselves. So, when you can, when you understand that and you can interrupt the release of those hormones, these muscles won't tighten. So your throat will stay more open, which is so critical when it's difficult to breathe, when there's smoke in the air. So if you're in a smoky area right now, it's pretty much all of eastern the north part of eastern United States right now in Canada. It's it will be so easy. You'll see people just even if they have a mask on outside, there's just tension in the air because there's fear. And so let me give you some tools to help with this. I think one of the first tools is going to be, in your head, realizing this too shall pass. I guess here in Michigan, it's supposed to clear out in a day or so. The smoke moves and it's temporary. That's another thing you can say. I was talking with my accountability partner and best friend Leila Veronica, and she that's one of her slogans is this is temporary. So if you can say, okay, this is temporary, we just need to get through a few hours of experiencing this, unless you're in one of the heavy smoke areas. And then you might be making plans to travel somewhere. I hear that they're evacuating the boundary waters right now in Minnesota. That's a huge area. So that now you got to move. But even in that movement, if you can refrain from being frantic, if you can interrupt that stress response, that will be helpful. So going right to the brain and saying, okay, this is temporary. I can protect myself so that you're not protecting yourself physically, but you're protecting yourself with some sort of action or thought. Keeping those abs really relaxed and the lower abs relaxed is going to tell your brain that you are safe. So if you can tell your brain you're safe, both mentally and physically, that will help you interrupt that stress response so that you don't release the hormones that are going to cause you to tighten naturally. Also, you might just kind of play with, if you're in a safe place right now, if you're indoors but you have to go outside today, like just play with relaxing the front of your body, tightening the front of your body. Notice the difference between relaxing your abs and tightening your abs. Like it's almost like this pulsing you can do to understand the difference because most of us hold a ton of tension in the front of our bodies. Some people have a lot of rounded shoulders, shoulders are up, this is tense. And so again, going wide, that's one of my favorite tools for posture. Don't pinch your shoulders back, that causes back tension. Go wide, open. Let your lungs have a lot of room. Let your air spaces have a lot of room. That can be really helpful too. Uh, and I think too, a lot of us have had experiences. Here's one of mine. So I grew up in a 1850s house in Concord, New Hampshire, and there was no heat upstairs. There were no air registers or anything. There was a grate into one of the bedrooms. And then there was air going up through the stairwell that would heat the other two bedrooms. But the bedrooms were pretty chilly. I'll be honest to tell you. Like we slept and it was, but that's actually good for you. So in the winter, it would be a little chilly, but all the heat was rising up in the house, and that's what kept us warm. But the grate over the kitchen, it was over the this little kitchen table that we had and when I was little. And my father, after dinner, he was a smoker. He would smoke at that little table, and the smoke would rise up into the bedroom where I was with my sister. And sometimes all three of us were in that room. I can't remember at that time. I remember it was third grade when I started like having upset stomachs almost every night, like just feeling really nauseous, feeling like I was going to be sick. And I said, I think it's because of the smoke coming up through the grate was making me nervous. And that's because in third grade was when we were learning that smoking wasn't good for us, right? So now let's think of all those layers. Number one, I'm breathing the secondhand smoke. Number two, I'm worried about my father who's smoking. Okay. Like there's so many levels to this. And my brain makes connections like crazy. So it's making all those connections and it was making me physically feel ill. Now I know I was triggering fight or flight. Like that's what that was about. Um, but I brought it to my parents. Like my mother, of course, my parents are like, oh, something's wrong. You're feeling sick every night. And I said, I think it's the smoke. So my dad just quit cold turkey. He was a smoker one day, and the next day he was not a smoker anymore. It was pretty wild. So he wasn't really doing it because he needed to. I think it just had become a habit. I know people who just will have a cigarette after dinner. It's just kind of their thing. And people smoke all kinds of things after dinner. But then it was definitely cigarettes. And so sensitivities, you can have a sensitivity to something, or a seed gets planted in your brain that this thing isn't good for you and then that can trigger fight or flight. So that might be going on for you if you're in a smoky area today too. To close out today, I just want to say thank you so much for everybody who wished me a happy birthday. 64 now. Happy to be alive. Happy to have this day. Happy to know my first two grandchildren as little tiny babies. They're a month old. Um, and yeah, I just am super, super grateful for all the love here on Facebook. That's the only place I think my birthday is. So, uh, and it was a lovely day. Got to be with the family and twins, and it's it's um, it's precious, I think that having gone to a funeral on Monday where our friend died and she was only 61, that every day is a blessing, and every day is a day that we get to share with the world the most important things that we do, however you do it. and joy and a smile um, are certainly important to that. And I love coming on here every day and speaking to you and sharing with you and hoping that the things that I share make a little bit of difference in your life. So with that, I wish you a beautiful pressure-free day. Bye.